In this lesson, we will learn how to animate an object along a path in Cinema 4D. In the previous lesson, we learned how to view an object's animation path. But what's great is that we can also create a path we'd like an object to travel along. This is great for vehicular animation. Let's say if we wanted a car to drive down the street and then turn a corner, we can use a spline as that object's trajectory, and then simply connect that object, which would be the car. We could connect it to that spline instantly. So let's say we go ahead and take a look at this, because this is going to be great for animating our aircraft. What we'll do first is create our path. Now let's make this interesting. Let's go to Create, Spline, and we'll create a helix. Next, let's go ahead and scale up the helix a bit. We'll just go to our Scale tool with the T key, and we'll start to just drag out. So this should be a pretty decent size. From there, I'll go ahead and rotate it in the heading axis 90 degrees. Great, let's start to adjust a few of our properties of the helix. With it selected, we'll go to the Object tab. Let's go ahead and adjust its end angle so the animation will start at the height of the path. And then we could also make sure that the ship, it stops a bit sooner. So we'll go to the end angle, and we'll go ahead and start to drop that down a bit. Alright, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and make this object editable, because I want to show you another feature we have for adjusting an object that's animated along our path. But we first need to make sure that our spline is editable. Alright, so at this point, we can go in and rename this to something a bit more clear. We'll name it the name of our ship, which is PVTOL _ path. Alright, so now it's time to connect our object. Now let's be smart about this. We don't want to connect our animation control. Instead, let's go ahead and connect our group. The reason why is, what that means is that our group is going to be tied to our path while we can animate any offsets we'd like on our animation control. Chances are we may want our object to veer off from the path just slightly in some way. So by connecting again the main group of our rig, and instead of the animation control, that gives us more freedom over how the object behaves along the path. So let's go ahead and grab our group, and now we'll choose tags. I'll go ahead and tear this off. It's going to be Cinema 4D tags aligned to spline, the second choice. Alright, so what we see here is now just a property that allows us to take this spline and have the object connected to it by simply defining what we'd like to use as our path. So we need to add that to our spline path field. Let's go ahead and do that. And instantly you can see our object has been tied to this path, and only its position. To show you this, we can go to our position channel and start to edit the object, and that's how we would animate it along this trajectory. But the issue again is that only its position is following. So if we want it to be oriented along the path, we'd simply turn on tangential above the position channel. So now you can see that the ship, it's going to be oriented to the path, but there are a few issues. One, you can see it's moving in reverse. And two, eventually we get to a point where the ship will spin, because paths like these are quite complex, and what we need is some way to define how this ship should twist as it moves along this path. So we'll take a look at a really neat feature that will help us to prevent this flipping issue. But first, let's go ahead and make sure that it flies properly. So all we need to do is select our spline, our path, go to point mode, and with all of our points selected, I'll just go ahead and grab our rectangle select tool. With all of our points selected, we can choose Mesh, Spline, and we'll choose Reverse Sequence. So now let's go ahead and take a look at what this does. We'll go back to our model tool, and if we were to select our tag again, the align to spline, you'll see that now when we go to a value of 100, that's actually the start of our path, but you can see that our ship is now moving in the right direction. Great. But we have another issue. We still have the ship twisting along the path. So here's where the rail path comes into play. This is a really exciting tool because with it, we can correct these type of twisting issues that we experience often when animating objects along a spline. So all we need to do is clone our spline, move it over just slightly, and then define this as our rail path. And the object along the path will act as if it is traveling along a roller coaster. So it has that extra track there to prevent it from flipping in the first place. Really exciting. So if we were to go ahead and take our path, we can now hold down Control and drag out to quickly clone it. And let's go ahead and rename this to PVTOL rail path. So now we can go ahead and add this directly to our align to spline object. So let's go ahead and select the tag and watch this. We'll go ahead and add it to our rail path field. And let's go ahead and start to move the position of our ship. What you'll see is that there is no more flipping. It actually now flies upside down and flies the direction it needs to. I really enjoy working with these rail paths because, again, they help us to get the exact performance we'd like to see from our object. As we start to adjust the position of our rail path, as the ship travels along, as we start to just translate that back and forth, you can see when it gets too close, we're going to run into flipping. But as long as it's away from our rail path, then we'll be fine. All right, so let's say we add some animation now. On frame 0, we'll go ahead and control-click our position channel. Now, it's just a matter of the speed we'd like to see. Maybe to about frame 120, we'll go there, and we'll set our position to 0. We could simply just right-click and control-click on the channel once more, and let's go ahead and take a look at the speed. We'll hit play, and you'll see that now our ship flies along the trajectory. Beautiful. And of course, you can edit this behavior from your F-curve manager. You can go ahead and select your align to spline, go to the position channel, right-click and choose animation, show F-curves. So now, let's say if we wanted more of a constant speed, what we could do is highlight our two keyframes, and we can go ahead and set their interpolation from smooth to linear. And that'll give us a nice constant speed. So now, if we were to go ahead and play this back, what you'll see is that there's a constant speed in our flight. Very cool. So again, in this lesson, we have learned how to animate an object along a trajectory in Cinema 4D.